Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the DDJF Foundation, where we shine a light on loss and grief and how it impacts our lives. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Power of Love show, sponsored by the DDJF Foundation. We are here to provide hope, resources, and a community so no one feels alone in their grief. I am TJ Jackson, and with me is my eldest brother, Taj Jackson.
What's going on, TJ?
Nothing much right now, man. Just busy doing my road trip.
Yeah, how's it going so
enjoying
far?
everything's good, man. This country has so much to offer sightseeing wise that you forget about it until you go on these road trips, you know?
Yeah,
So
most people haven't even left their state, which is crazy.
Yeah. So I'm just doing that, my man. But I guess I should finish the intro. I got carried away with that question. I'm excited to be here in Page, Arizona. But yes, we are live on the Power of Love show. For anyone who is watching us on Facebook or YouTube, thank you guys for watching in. And as you guys know, this is a completely interactive experience. We like you guys commenting, asking questions, and being part of this show. If you're listening to us right now on a podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, however you're listening to us, thank you for listening to us. We want to remind all of you guys to make sure you subscribe or follow us on whichever platform you're listening to us or watching us. And if you're really enjoying it, make sure to leave a like or even what is it, Taj? Leave a rating? Yeah, on the podcast you can rate things, right?
Yeah, you can rate things.
Yeah. So that just helps others who may be looking for this kind of content find it.
Mm-hmm.
And here at DDJF, the DDJF Foundation, we do this show weekly, and we want to help anyone who may be struggling in any way find some light and find some positivity. As most of you know, my brother and I, Taj, and along with our other brother, Terrell, we lost our mother as, I was 16. I think, Taj, you were 21, and Terrell was in the middle. But we lost our mother, who was murdered. And it's something that we live with every day. But that doesn't mean, and the pain of it, but that doesn't mean life is over, and doesn't mean you can't reclaim your life and live a positive life. And that's what we try to do here on the Power of Love show. And that's what the DDJF Foundation is about. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to because we don't do this enough, where we talk about what the show is about in case it's a first time listener. And with that said, we have an amazing show lined up with an amazing guest that has his own personal story of just going through things and finding a positive life. So this is going to be a great show, and one that I think people are going to get a lot out of. With that said, we should do a disclaimer, and that is, we are not licensed therapists. We are just ordinary people who've experienced loss in our lives. We've been impacted by it, and we've learned from it. Saying that, we want to share our opinions in an attempt to help you overcome or get through whatever it is you are going through. But if you need professional help, we urge you to seek it and to find it. Please do not just rely on us. All right, Taj, that is technically the intro. I want to ask you, man, how have you been? How is fatherhood, the second round with a baby? How's that all going?
It's going great. I mean, there's no sleep whatsoever. I feel bad for Tayana. She's just having no sleep whatsoever. I'm sneaking in sleep here and there, but when you have two, which you know very well, someone has to be up watching the other one. So it's been a little difficult, I'm not gonna lie, but it makes it all worth it when you see their face, as I said before.
I have to say, Taj, you look like you're holding up pretty well.
Me? Yeah. I mean, it's blessings. Like, really, when you really look at it, it's like a miracle. I was just looking at our baby Toria, which is the name that we went with. It really is a miracle, and you can't help but look at her and Taylor as well, and just be so thankful. So
yeah,
I don't really all that lack of sleep and stuff, because that's my pet peeve, or not my pet peeve, but my kryptonite, like sleep. I need sleep to be happy.
Sleep.
Yeah, like if you want to see irritable Taj or Taj like defenses down, it's lack of sleep. So
yeah,
that's when Taj doesn't become so pleasant as whatever. It's just So
well,
yeah,
you're holding up well, man. I'm proud of you, man. You're holding up well. And like I said earlier, I am here in Arizona. I'm actually in Page, Arizona. We may
where
have
is
hit here. Page is in the northern part of Arizona.
okay?
We went to the Grand Canyon yesterday, Taj, and I
Nice.
remember we went with our family. When was that, Taj? 84?
I don't know.
Okay, it was a long time ago, and I remember being sick, and I forgot the beauty of the Grand Canyon. It's unreal, and
I want to go again.
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't been or was there as a little kid, go again, go see it. It's something that it's just a magical spot that we've been blessed with on this planet. So make sure you check it out.
Is that as big as it seems to be?
It's bigger.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited to see.
It's bigger. It's bigger.
I don't think as a kid you appreciate it like as much.
No, you don't. And
like,
the kids, I don't
cool.
think they appreciate it as much either.
Take a picture and that's exactly.
All right, Taj, but before we get our invite our guest on, we should also highlight a couple of super chats and explain what a super chat is. This is a way you can give back to us and our foundation on YouTube. And Lena here just super chatted 20 euros, which is awesome, Lena. Thank you so much. And she says, I just want to quickly say thank you to both of you, or to you both, for being on here tonight. You're away, TJ, and you have a new baby, Taj, so your time is very much appreciated here. These lives are great, and we appreciate them and you a lot. Lena, thank you so much. And yes, I'm on the road. My family is doing random things as we get prepared for our next venture on this road. And like you said, Taj is, taking a break from being another father to another beautiful being. So it is a commitment, and but we love what we're doing. We love sharing and helping people out there. So on behalf of my brother and our foundation who received the contribution, we want to thank you for the super chat. And then with all that said, Taj, there's a super sticker from Crystal. So I just wanted to highlight both of you and thank you guys for your support.
Yes.
All right, Taj, it's time. It's time to intro our guest and bring him in. Today's guest is author Jose Lugo. Jose is here to share his personal journey of turning his life around, reclaiming his story, and inspiring others to do the same. After joining an LA street gang when he was just 16 and being convicted and sentenced to 5 years in prison at the age of 18, Jose made a vow to himself upon his parole that he would never go back, and dreamed of one day telling the stories of his peers. Wow. Jose continued through life, never fully understanding the value in his own story. At the age of 31, he returned to jail for a DUI. After his 3-day incarceration, he had lost all hope. He took inventory of his life and saw himself only as a criminal with no value. On the brink of taking his own life, he cried out to God and was able to remember a simple truth that he had believed as a child, that he, as a person, had inherent value, and that his story had meaning. It was in that moment that he was able to find the value in his story. Once again, Jose is the founder of We Are All One Story. He currently travels the country listening to and sharing people's stories. He also just released his memoir, Love, Faith, and Violence, a true song and story. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Jose Lugo to the family. Oh, not the family, the Power of Love. I almost said the Family Rule. The Power of Love show. Jose, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for that intro.
Well, amazing. Thank you for being here. Taj, I always ask you this. What show number is this?
I don't know. We've done so many. We're up there. Someone might be able to tell us.
But give me a ballpark.
Over 200 something.
Over 200.
Yeah.
Jose, I don't think we've had someone like you on the show. So I'm excited for you to be here and to share your story and to be open and just to inspire people to become better and to be the best them. So I want to thank you for joining and the Power of Love show, and just being here is awesome, really. So
Inspiration. Yeah.
I, I guess I'm going to start with the fact that you're very candid about your life, and your story of redemption is obviously very inspiring. Did you have any reservations about sharing your story publicly the first time when you did?
No, I felt like my back was against the wall, and I didn't start sharing my story until after that moment of really contemplating of taking my own life and going through with it. And I did have a spiritual moment with God where I did feel something. I did feel hope. I did feel that even though I had done all these things and had lived a certain lifestyle, that I still had value as a human being, as a person, and that every day, that if I just start from that position is enough. And it's like I experienced freedom in that moment. And I had my reservations because I talk about my mom in the book. I talk about other people who were in my story, and I know that they have their feelings about it. However, they're in their own story, living their own life. I have to be in my own story and live my own life, regardless of what anybody else thinks. So, I decided to move forward just full steam ahead because I felt like I had nothing to lose. Like when you hit rock bottom, I can't envision anything being worse than that at this point. To going through that deep depression and all that, it's like I feel right now I'm playing with the house's money, and I'm all in. So that's just how I go about it. I definitely had reservations, but when my life began to change, I did make resolute decisions. One of them being that I would tell the truth of my story, regardless of what anybody thought. And, I started that and I haven't stopped.
First of all, like I said, I'm happy you're telling your story, and I have to assume it what's the term I'm looking for, but it reconfirms some purpose for you telling your story.
Yeah.
As I said earlier in our intro, my brother and we lost our mother, and just telling it, we just being on the show, we know that we've helped so many people, and you have to know you've helped so many people. In your answer, there was something that was quite fascinating to me, is when you said, I knew I had to live my life. They had their life and I had my life. I think the main question for anyone who's struggling getting their child or nephew or someone they care about to think that way, because I think that's such an important mentality to have. And I'm curious to know, what was it that got you to think that way, that this is on me, I got to do this?
Yeah, I mean, the rock bottom got me to think that way because I realized, like, anyone who's been on the brink of taking their own life, and seriously, it wasn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You do realize that, before my, encounter with God, essentially, like, I was all alone. And I felt utterly alone, destitute, broken, beat down. And like during that moment, I realized that at the end of the day, it's just me and God. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And I felt empowered with that truth that that my mom's not going to be there talking for me when I die. My friends aren't going to be there speaking on my behalf when I'm right there. And I had that realization, and that's what really freed me, that I got to do and live out the purpose in my heart, that I got to live out my truth, because at the end of the day, it's just me and God. Whoever wants to come along with me can come. Whoever doesn't, that's on them, and it's the most empowering thing ever to know that, to accept that responsibility of your free will, to accept the responsibility of being a human being and being a person, and understanding that what I decide to do today affects so many different things. And, I was able to have that realization and move forward regardless of what anybody thinks. I'm still a human, and I was still conflicted, with what my mom would think or stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like I told my mom, I told her, I said, look, it's just the truth. what we shouldn't be ashamed of the truth. If we're going to be ashamed about anything, you should be ashamed of how you handle that truth. Like right now, we can decide how we're going to move forward. We can't lie about the facts. These things happened. There's no healing when you lie about your life. It's impossible to heal on top of lies. And, you're right. When I started sharing my story, I experienced healing unlike any other healing I've experienced. And it's one of the most beautiful things that I've realized, that, people aren't as mean as we think. That when you do share vulnerably and honestly, no one should kick you when you're down, because you let your heart open and bare. And if anybody does kick you when you're being honest and vulnerable, like, man, that's a deep issue they got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Jose, why? That is so powerful, and that's something that I wish was kind of understood by people at a younger age or younger time, or just understood more in general. Why do you think we have this idea that we can't be vulnerable and we can't share ourselves, or the fact that if someone is being wrong to you, why do we go right back and fight instead of looking at it from an empathetic perspective, that they have an issue that they're working on and they're just not knowing how to deal with it? Go ahead, and I'll let you answer that, or go off that however you want.
Because even though being vulnerable, being honest, all those things, that is the right way to do things, there's no question. The reason we don't do it is because we're afraid. We're afraid of getting hurt. Because going through life, we've already been hurt. This is a part of life, that people are going to hurt you and people are going to let you down, but you can't let yourself down. You have to stay true to who you are. And for me, I have to live with an open heart and being vulnerable. And if somebody decides to kick me when I'm being honest, that's on them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to fortify my life with facades and lies. I did that already, and it completely tore me down, broke me all the way down. I couldn't stand on an image I created based on what other people imposed on me. It's just people understanding, me included, every day, that the truth of my story is enough. First off, I don't need anything else, but I have to apply that same truth to other people. And just move forward in that manner.
Yeah. And I want to, Taj, were you wanting to say something?
No, this is fascinating to me, and thank you for having the courage to do that. Sorry, I'm going off of lack of sleep here, but what like when you say that it was you and God basically in that moment of decision, what did you have any like religious background before, or was it something that you got incarcerated, or what was your relationship, and what gave you that hope? Because I truly believe in that. I just want to know what was the defining factor for you?
So for me, I did have I was raised in the church. But when I was like 17, I hadn't been to church in over 13 years. I did have that foundation. Yeah. Like, man, when it comes down to the last moment, my mom always said that, you could always talk to God. And when I did hit that moment where I thought, I lived my life thinking that I can do it all on my own. And the more I thought I could do it on my own, the more it seems that my life crumbled around me. And finally I hit that point where I was like, well, what do I got to lose? And I did go to God at that point, and man, it was something very real to me, and it's something that keeps me going to this day.
Yeah. Right.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So Jose, tell us about you and your brother, Ralph, right? Yeah. You guys make a decision to launch We Are All One Story, where you offer a platform for other people to share their personal stories and tales. So tell us about We Are All One Story and how you guys came about deciding to do that.
Yeah, that came about, after that, after that rock bottom, it's like my whole life had to change. I was an alcoholic. I drank every day, all those things. And, as people, to have meaning in your life, it is pretty important. And it was just a thought in my heart, like, hey, I just want to share people's stories. I approached my brother about it. I said, look, this is what I want to do. This is how we're going to do it. He looked at me. He didn't blink once. He just said, man, that sounds great. He literally said, whatever I have to do, I'll do. And I think that he was able to see something in me, that's kind of like I was a desperation one. That was one of them at that point, but also the passion. He was like, oh, this is for real. And, he ended up supporting me. He still does. And he decided to come along with me to do it. And all we tried to do is get people to see the power in their own story. We all understand that we as people have inherent value, but we don't apply that same value to our life story. It's like people shouldn't say, oh, my story's not this, not that. No, your story is yours. And there's power in that.
Yeah. Very much so. I love that.
Yeah. What we already touched on this, but I think it's such an important concept that we either as a society ignore or we don't value as much. But what value does the people get when they share their stories, as well as the person who may be listening on the other end? What value are they getting, in your opinion, when stories are shared?
I think the value is dynamic. 100%. It's spiritual in a way. It's mental. It's a release. So it's physical. I think when someone decides to not just share their story personally to somebody else, but when they decide to be like, put it in the public domain, that's a whole nother step.
Yeah.
To say like, hey, this is who I am. This is my story. I don't care who sees it. And I don't care what anybody thinks. This is me. And then for the person who's watching it, they can be like, well, man, I'm not alone. I'm not alone, because I know in my depression, I felt like I'm the only one going through this, and there's literally millions of other people going through it. And there is comfort in that, because, hey, that person's still alive. That person's still going. So regardless of what I'm going through, that I have a chance, for things to get better.
Yes, great. So there's a couple of questions from the community. Casey asks, how do you gain the courage and strength to share your story, knowing that people are going to judge you or look at you differently?
You just share it. Like if you have an inclination to do it, like, which I feel you obviously do, take that step of faith. And I think you'll see that you're going to have a whole group of people who will embrace you with open arms beyond a doubt. And the people who don't, it's understanding that that's where they're at in their life. And that has nothing to do with you moving forward.
Yeah. This is a great question from Brandy. Jose, how do you get through a hard time when an anniversary or a birthday comes?
I mean, I don't know, anniversary or birthday. I mean, when I have like maybe days that bring back memories of some negative events in my life, how do I get through that? One, I pause, and I just pause, and I'm like, man, I'm still here. I'm still breathing. That counts for something, and I know that I'm doing, the purpose in my life, and that's empowering in and of itself, knowing that, I wake up with the intent to do something good every day.
Nice.
Yeah. And then here's a comment. Sometimes all we need is someone to listen with an open heart. I learned this from the at-risk youth I volunteer with. Here, Jose, is a question from Anna. Wants to know where you grew up.
I grew up in the harbor area of Los Angeles, so San Pedro.
Okay. And then I want to know, Jose, what advice would you give to someone who thinks that they have no meaning or value to share a story? They have no story to give.
Yeah, that's not true. You do have meaning and value, and that is beyond a doubt true. It's taking the steps to believe that. Start articulating your story, start going back into your story. And then I think a lot of answers you're looking for are in your very own story.
So you just released a memoir. Congratulations, by the way. That's not easy to do in many different levels. The commitment, the vulnerability, the time, it's a lot of work. So first off, congratulations on that. It's a big achievement. And we're artists, we're musicians, so we we just value the fact that that's going to be something that's going to outlive us, and that book's going to outlive you and have a purpose, and that's a beautiful thing. So congratulations.
Yeah.
My question is, what can people expect from the book? If I pick up this book, what am I going to get?
I mean, you're just going to get honesty, raw, a story of my life from my POV, meaning that I process it through an emotional state of mind. So it's really an emotionally charged book, and it carries that theme throughout the entire time. And at the end, it's really about forgiveness and self-acceptance.
And where can people get the book?
So you can get our book at our website at www.weareallonestory.net. And then you can get it on our Instagram shop at weareallonestory.
Beautiful. Here's another question from the community. Kim Vaccarino says, Jose, with your second chance with life, is there any family or friends to help you in your new journey, or are you taking things one day at a time?
I always take things one day at a time, but my family is definitely there, supporting me all the way, regardless if they agree with what I'm doing or not. They truly love me, and I do have that support.
Jose, I want to ask you, when you're in this bad space that you've been in, what advice would you give to a loving family member? What do you need? What role can they play from the outside to try to help you from the inside?
That's tough. The biggest thing I think is just to be available, but you also have to set your own boundaries. You have to be comfortable with what it is you think you can give, and give that all the way. So understand what you're going to give, like whether it's time, phone calls, whatever, and then understand that the other person is an individual and they have to make their own decisions as well. So it's like it's got to be in a healthy form. So I like just being available when they call, answer the phone.
Let me flip that around. What advice would you not give them in terms of like bad advice, in terms of if they're like some things discouraging or in that way, like that you've heard?
Don't act like you know it all. Don't act like you know what they're going through if you haven't been through it. Like if you haven't been through depression, like be honest about that. Just be like, hey, I don't know what you're going through, but I'm here for you. Say the truth.
Yeah. Good point.
Jose, those are two big things, man. And I appreciate that, because there are many people who are going through that. And there are many people who are in a way ashamed or don't know how to help. They feel helpless themselves. So I thank you for even just that message is a way to help families and parents and sisters and brothers and uncles and aunts. And I think both of those are simple and spot on. Not easy, but clear and really helps from your side. So I really want to thank you for that. Anna has another cool question. She wants to know if you have children or would you like to have, and what values would you teach them?
I don't have kids. I would love to have kids for sure. What values I would teach them? I think my primary goal would be to be there and to love them, and to support them, and to empower them to believe in their own truth, because they are their own individuals as well.
Cool. All right. So before I close, before I give you, because I was about to give you your minute that I warned you about, Jose, I'm curious to know what's next for you. You're young, you still got a lot of time, you're making an impact with your website and your book. Where does Jose want to be in 10 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, 10 years, that's pretty far. I mean, we got
from the guy who says take a day one day at a time, right?
We got a lot of things in the works. We got our, we're getting ready to get on bigger and bigger media outlets. Me and my brothers have, set up our press release and are setting the foundation for that, to really get ready to take our message on a bigger scale. I mean, we can keep on scaling up. So that's what we're doing right now immediately. 10 years, I mean, keep on sharing stories.
Yeah.
There's another great question I have to throw in from Casey. Who do you turn to when you're having a rough day?
Oh, I pray. I turn to God. I definitely have a strong faith, and that keeps me going.
I knew that was the answer. I just wanted to hear it again. I love it. All right, Jose, it is that time. So up to a minute to talk about whatever you want to talk about, my friend. It could be your favorite sports team, athlete, your favorite story, movie, cooking advice, whatever you want, your book. Talk about anything you want, my friend. The platform is yours.
That's a tough one. This is the toughest, the toughest prompt one right here. Right. I mean, it's funny. If I'm going to talk about anything right now, I'd talk about believing in faith and believing in yourself. I don't know if, you don't have to believe in God to believe in yourself. To take that step and understand that you are enough. You were born that way. Nothing changes that. I start my day with that truth. I start from that position that I'm a person, and man, that's everything, that I am a walking miracle. And I think we are all of that. And just believing that and taking that step, like looking in the mirror and being like, you know what, like I can do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Todd, did you have anything else? Because I'm gonna just highlight Jose's book, but you gave us so many good gems, and like I said, you hit us in a direction and in a way that we haven't had here at the Power of Love. So I want to thank you for that, and for being so open and honest and vulnerable with it. It means the world to so many people out there, because I truly feel there's a good amount of people out there that are going to listen to you and utilize this advice, because it can be lonely and a just a difficult situation when you don't know what to do or say. So you gave some great responses. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Todd, is there anything else you wanted to ask or tell Mr. Jose?
No, I mean, just your vulnerability, but your honesty as well, is something that is very much appreciated, because it is something that we need more of in that way with stories. And because everyone's going through something, and so it's connection. So I'm just, thankful that Jose's on and sharing his story.
Thank you.
All right. So with that said, Jose has a book, as we talked about a little earlier, Faith, Love, and Violence. It's a true song and story. It's his personal memoir on his life. He's had an amazing life. He's had some obvious hardships, but it has turned it around and is in a better place. And obviously, there's a lot of credit to God, the one and only. And as he said, he's still breathing, and there's value in just that. And it's never too late to right a ship. It's never too late to do the right thing and to be the best person you can. With that said, Faith, Love, and Violence is available at www.weareallonestory.net. Also check out weareallonestory.net to share your own personal story, to maybe help others. That's what DDJF is all about. We shared our story in the attempt to help everyone get through whatever they may be going through. And the last thing I want to say, which Jose mentioned earlier, is there is, and it's hard for me to say this, but I'm going to try to say this as eloquently as he did. When people are being harsh to you, being wrong to you, you have to kind of see it as there's something that's going on with them, and I think I know I can't say it as eloquently as Jose. Say it one more time for me, man. There's no sense of me saying when you're standing there.
Putting me on the spot.
Yeah, right on the spot.
Just say it. I think that's so important to hear. And I know you already said it once, but it's so important to understand that concept. And there's no movies on it. There's no talk shows about it. It's something that you just kind of have to mature and to figure out, and you have. And so go ahead. Just leave us with that message one more time, my friend.
Yeah. When you're taking that step into truly being yourself, which is enough, and you're scared if somebody's going to poke fun at you, if somebody's going to hit you while you're down, if somebody's going to ridicule you for talking about your dreams even, that has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with the other person and how they were raised, what they're going through, and it's from their POV. It doesn't have to be yours. Another person's perspective is just that theirs, not yours, and it's not your truth. That's whatever they're going through. So just knowing that all that matters is that you stay true to yourself, and things will fall into place regardless of what anybody else thinks.
Nice.
Love it. There you go. I told you, he says it much better than me.
Yeah.
And with the chiller, more cool voice, as people have been commenting. Jose,
Smoother
people
voice,
loving
yeah.
your voice on here, man.
Yeah, I did some exercises. This isn't my normal voice.
I would love to. I can't go back in time, but there's been some several. Like you have the chillest voice, the voice is sexy, all these cool things, Jose. So whatever you do, don't lose that voice, my man. All right, thank you so much, Jose. Please be safe, man, and keep sharing your story. For all of you who watched or listened on the podcast, we want to thank you guys for joining. We will be back next Wednesday. On behalf of Taj Jackson, Jose Lugo, and the entire DDJF Foundation, we want to thank you guys, and please be safe. Adios.